These are our top 5 reasons to move to Senoia.
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 This is David and Amy Vendor with the Vendor Group, serving all your real estate needs in the South Metro Atlanta area.
So if you want to visit Senoia and you want to be noted as a local, you say Senoia, not Senoia or Senoia.
So first on our list was Senoia. You get that small town feel, but you also get the big town convenience.
So you may feel like you've never heard of Senoia before, but I bet you have, thanks to the film industry.
I know you've seen Senoia. So there's been over 40 movies and TV shows filmed in Senoia. Our favorite movie that was filmed there was Sweet Home
Alabama.
And if you remember that water tower scene, that water tower is still there.
And thanks to The Walking Dead, that kind of put Senoia on the map for sure. You might recognize it as the town of Woodbury or the town of Alexandria.
So Alexandria and Woodbury is downtown Senoia, and if you would like to see some of those filming locations, there's actually a tour agency in Senoia, and they'll take you around and show you those places.
And I think one of the things that appeals to the film industry for Senoia and why they pick it is that charming small town, that country feel. Got a great downtown.
It really does.
But you're not that far from the Atlanta airport.
So when their actors need to fly in and out of town, or if they need to go to downtown Atlanta to get something only you can find in a big city, Atlanta's an hour away, and the Atlanta airport's about 45 minutes away.
And if there's a medical emergency, you're not very far at all from major hospitals, and they even have a cancer center and a heart center over there in Newnan.
And if you need some kind of specialty medical, you will find that in Atlanta. Emory, which is a world-class hospital, is just a little bit north of downtown Atlanta.
But you do have that small town. Senoia is only 4,500 in population. Compare that to its neighbors, Peachtree City.
So Peachtree City has about 38,000, and then Newnan, which is a little bit to Senoia's west, has about 40,000.
And both of those towns tend to offer a little bit more in terms of shopping and the restaurants.
So if you want to go to more of a chain store shopping, big box shopping, or if you want to go to a chain restaurant, you're going to find that in either Peachtree City or Newnan. But
you're not going to find that in Senoia.
You are not. Pretty much all the restaurants and the shops in Senoia are family owned and operated. But recently,
they just got a Publix and they just got a Chick-fil-A. You know, we are in Georgia. If you've watched our Peachtree City videos, we take our Chick-fil-A very seriously here.
And to just give you an idea how it is really truly a small town, when the Chick-fil-A opened, it was a big deal. And when the Publix opened, it was a big deal.
So you don't have very far. You literally are just right over the line to Peachtree City.
From downtown Peachtree City to downtown Senoia, you're talking 5-8 minutes. It's not very far.
And then with Newnan, depending on where you are in Newnan and where you are in Senoia, it's maybe 20 minutes.
25 tops.
So you pretty much have all the conveniences of shopping and restaurants that you want there, but you can still be in that charming town. And that leads us to number 2, which is Senoia is an extra charming town with a lot of history.
So I grew up here, and I remember going to downtown Senoia. There were some lovely homes around Senoia. Most of them were not taken care of. Downtown Senoia was not taken care of. It just wasn't a place to go. And a phrase I never heard growing up is, let's go to Senoia for lunch or for dinner. But
that's changed.
And then we moved back in 2012, and we were really impressed with how Senoia had turned around.
We loved going there. So Senoia was founded in the late 1800s. And the thing that I think is fascinating, and there is actually a historic museum in the downtown that they would love for you to come visit. And there are all kinds of cool things in there. And the volunteers that are in there love to tell about the history of the town. So we're not going to get into that in great length, but one of the things I think is really cool is that there's like 7 families that their generations past were founders of this town. So they have stayed in the area, which is really neat.
So I mentioned some of the older homes in town, and one of the neat things is the train went right through Senoia, and you could order in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
So cool.
Talk about the original DIY. You could order a home kit from Sears and Roebuck's, and they would literally send you an entire house on the train. They'd offload it, and you'd have to assemble it.
And we showed one of those homes a few years ago, and it was a solid home,
It
too.
was really
In fact,
neat
the train came through, and the buyers were even commenting about how the house didn't shake, and it was a solid home. But if you drive through Senoia, there's one gorgeous home after the other. There's some historic bed and breakfasts, which visitors enjoy coming to.
There's an inn where you can stay. You can also rent it out for weddings and parties and whatnot. I highly recommend not just driving around Senoia, but to park your car, get out and walk, and just really be able to take in the sights.
And we talk about this charming downtown, but the neat thing is, and we talked earlier about the big box stores, you aren't going to find that.
No.
You're going to find people who are invested in their shop, their restaurant, because they started it, and they will be there to serve you. And it's just, and if you are a regular, they'll get to know your name. But they're unique things and special restaurants. Now you do have Nick and Norman's restaurant. Norman Reedus and the producer Nick, forgive me, I can't remember his last name.
From The Walking Dead.
Yes, from The Walking Dead. They obviously are not in the restaurant all the time, but other than that, it's pretty much mom and pop places, and that is what's unique about the town. You do hear a lot of people talking about wanting to go for dinner, let's go to lunch, whether they are Peachtree City residents, Newnan residents. People come from Atlanta just to come and enjoy a special time.
One of my favorite things about Senoia is they will have things like Alive After 5. So on Fridays, once a month, and they will shut down the roads in Senoia, and it's basically like a family little town
Party.
It's like going to a party. They have a little car show a couple times a year, and you do get that wonderful small town Mayberry feel from it.
But everybody comes from all over because everybody really enjoys it. But there's the food trucks for most of the events. There's food trucks, but
there's live bands that perform on the street.
And the shops are open, and people are there with their dogs. We haven't yet done that because ours aren't well enough behaved. But it's like that Mayberry feel.
If you want that small Mayberry feel, give Senoia a try. So next on our list is new construction in Senoia.
So new versus old, that's always a hot topic with buyers. And there's a variety of opinions. Some people think older is better, better quality, more sturdy.
They also, a lot of people like the nostalgia of an older home with all this influx of all these DIY shows. It's kind of just something.
Fixer-uppers.
Yeah, it's exciting to them.
Yes, and then new construction, there's the idea of getting to have everything new, new windows, new roof, and you get to pick your selections a lot of times. So that's kind of exciting. And for the buyers that we've had coming in, I think a big thing is an option, right? They want to be able to decide whether they want an older home or whether they want a newer home. So for instance, because we service the South Metro Atlanta area, people will come in and let's say they're looking in Peachtree City. The majority of homes in Peachtree City were built in the
80s, 90s, early 2000s.
That's when a lot of that growth hit. And so there is some new construction in Peachtree City, but it's very limited. In Senoia, however, which is right over the county line, so it is in a different county, it's going to be different schools.
But it's very close. Just a few miles difference.
Yes, and so because a lot of the growth in Senoia has happened in the last 10 years. You have a lot of newer construction. You've got, as we talked about earlier, that charm of the history of those old antebellum homes. So you almost have the really old with the
really new. So when Peachtree City had that huge building spur going on in the 70s, 80s, 90s, it didn't really happen in Senoia. There's a little bit that happened, but most of the homes around are either very new or very old.
So if you're looking for new construction, we've had a lot of people start out maybe in Newnan, where you still have some new construction happening. It's a lot larger. Or they're looking in Henry County or in Peachtree City. But the allure of the charm of the old town of Senoia, and then the options of being able to get new construction has really, I think, catapulted Senoia to the top of the list.
So if you kind of like that old town feel, but be able to go home to your brand new house, Senoia is a great option.
Absolutely.
So next on our list is Senoia is a little bit more affordable than a lot of the surrounding areas.
And everybody likes to get a little more bang for the buck, right?
Exactly.
Especially now.
So on average, compared to Peachtree City, and we compare it to Peachtree City a lot because it's right next door, and a lot of our clients usually start in Peachtree City because it's more well known, and then they start looking at some of the surrounding areas. But
Or there's a little bit of the opposite as well.
There is, but it's about 26 for the same home, basically the same house, about 26% cheaper in Senoia than Peachtree City.
And the other thing is the land, the size of your
Yes.
lot. A lot of people love the idea of an acre lot.
And with an acre lot, and most lots in Senoia, unless you're talking about downtown Senoia,
Right.
once you get out of downtown, most of the lots are going to be at least an acre.
Yeah, so your new construction, especially when you get out of downtown Senoia, you've got an acre lot. That's, I would say, average.
Yep.
So you have your new construction options, you get a little more for your money because you get more land as well.
Exactly. So if you want a little bit more property and you want to pay a little bit less for your house, Senoia is a great option to look at. So finally on our list, you still can have the golf cart lifestyle in Senoia.
So it may not be like the neighbor across the way, Peachtree City.
It's much smaller. There's all of downtown. There's multiple neighborhoods connected to downtown that have golf cart access. And there are some neighborhoods that are actually a little further away than you might imagine that have golf cart access too.
Right, so if you come from Peachtree City and cross over into Senoia, there's several neighborhoods that are literally right over the county line that come into Main Street in downtown Senoia.
Yep.
And there is a visible golf cart path that you can see. Then of course all the antebellum homes, people just drive on the street.
They do.
There is no golf cart path, but
life is so much slower. The average speed limit is 25 miles an hour, and if you're driving through, I highly recommend that you stay at 25 miles an hour driving around.
And then there's some new neighborhoods that they are building the paths to connect to downtown Senoia. And then we talked earlier about the new Publix and the new Chick-fil-A that we got in town. According to the city manager for Senoia, they're
going to get that connected. They don't know when.
Yeah, they don't have a date yet. That's a big deal.
It might not be before you retire, but they're going to do it at some point, apparently.
So hopefully sooner than later, and I think that's the plan for sure.
Now there is no connection between Senoia and Peachtree City, and really there's not much of a reason there shouldn't be, other than you have two different governments trying to figure this out.
There is talk about it.
But right now, if you live in Senoia and you're on the Senoia golf cart trail system, you can't just drive over to Peachtree City and vice versa.
Hopefully one day that's going to happen, because I think both
towns would probably really benefit from it.
Yes, and enjoy that for sure.
So those are our top 5 reasons to move to Senoia. If you like our videos, please like and subscribe.
Please.
When you subscribe, it really helps us out. If you need any real estate help in the South Metro Atlanta area, we're your team.
Yes, please reach out. You can email, text, call. We'd love to hear from you.
All that information is in the description below.
Thanks so much.